and it is, Louisiana lacks a strong and engaged middle class. How do we encourage this vital economic segment? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, that can be answered really in one word, and that is jobs. In order to really create an environment where our city can attract those jobs, we're going to have to work on workforce development. We have some problems with low-skilled people that don't have the skills that match certain industry that we may be able to attract. I feel like it's going to be imperative for us over the next several years to really work with our technical school, work with our school district, and figure out how we can offer more in the way of skill building through our vocational technical program, as well as working, as our school already is, with getting kids out of the school building and into businesses within the community to kind of build those skills before they even graduate from high school. And so I feel like skill building, working on workforce development, and really making our community shine, making it a place where we can attract businesses, has to be our #1 concern.
Thank you, Mr. Gott. You have 2 minutes to respond.
Say it again, please.
You bet. Louisiana lacks a strong and engaged middle class. How do we encourage this vital economic segment?
As Laura said, we need jobs. Without jobs in this town, there is no middle class, there's no upper class, there's no lower class. The jobs that are in this town more than likely have been filled. The jobs that aren't in this town, people have to go outside of this town. They'll go 25 to 50 to 100 miles for a job. And they want to stay here, but if we have nothing in this town to keep pride in this town, these people are going to leave. And if we don't bring something back to the town, even if it's just bringing back anything that would help promote a fair, anything that we used to do, everything that comes back around is not coming. We're left with a shell right at the moment. And if we don't do something now to bring back jobs of any kind, even 10 jobs, that's revenue back to this town. Without the revenue in this town, without people coming back to this town, there is no jobs. So there is no people for the jobs. If we got people that come back for the jobs, they'll train. They got to be trained. Big problem is what we used to do is have summer help for jobs. Well, that's gone because other people are taking the jobs. The kids, there's insurance liabilities and everything else for a lot of these that you got to be 18 or 21 to do. It's just gotten to a point that if we don't do something now, that there is no middle class.
Thank you. Mr. Gott, you will have the opportunity to answer the second question first, and that question is this. What is Louisiana's greatest need, and how will you specifically go about filling it? You have 2 minutes, sir.
The greatest need of this town is jobs, improvement in the city. The only problem is I cannot do it. It takes a group. One person is not going to cure this. We need to have a group that can, we might be able to disagree, but we need to agree and support whatever, even if we don't like it and it's brought in. You need to support it. You can't, every time you're negative about anything, it just drops it out. So what we need to do is to start looking at what we can do to clean up the city, bring stuff in. I mean, even if it's just a cosmetic look, people that go down Georgia Street, I hear it all the time. This is the worst street they've ever been on. Why? And this is the main street. Why don't we change the budget around and bring something back to these streets? And you bring people back.
Thank you. Ms. Helke, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, I kind of differ a little bit with, I guess, kind of what a lot of the candidates have said tonight, in the fact that I don't believe it's about us. It is not about our city government. City government should be about you. And it should be about how we can engage you and how we can bring everybody to the table. The 8 people that are sitting on the city council, we're going to have to vote on things. We're going to have to make decisions. Those decisions affect all of you. But the bottom line is, we are not going to revitalize this community unless all of us are on board. We have community organizations, we have a school district, we have just already, we have an artisan community, we have a congregation, a community of congregations. They're just waiting. They're ready and willing to step up and to help us revitalize and do what we need to do with Louisiana. We have to get out of our own way. That is the biggest thing. We have to get out of our own way. We have to compromise, and we have to all work together. We have to all come to the table and do this together. And that's what I'm running on, is that I would make every effort that I possibly could as a council person to open communication. We can't expect our citizens to show up at a city council meeting every time that we have one when they have jobs, sometimes 2 jobs. They're taking care of their kids, they're living their lives, they're helping with activities, they're doing all of these other things. And I feel like it's time to stop knocking on the door just during campaign season. We need to be knocking on the door all year round and engaging the people in our community.
Thank you. We will now move on to our 3rd question, I believe it is. And Ms. Helke, you will get the chance to respond first. Are you ready and willing, this is an audience question, are you ready and willing to attend training to carry out your duties? You have 2 minutes to respond.
I certainly am ready and willing to attend training. Anyone who knows me also knows that I don't wait for training. I am reading and I am researching. I'm attending meetings. I am learning all that I possibly can before I would ever take office. And that can only help me even if I'm not elected. Because if I'm not elected, I'm going to answer this other question, because my answer is kind of brief. And that is, if not elected, what will you do to help Louisiana? And that is, everything that I do every day is to help the people who live in Louisiana, or to help Louisiana in general. And I'll continue to do that. I'll work hard. If people, all you have to do is call and ask, and if I can do it, I'll do it.
Thank you. Mr. Gott, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Say it again, please.
Yes, sir. Are you ready and willing to attend training to carry out your duties?
The training for any of this, we don't have a clue. We're new. You're going to have training. Training has to be done on a constant basis. It's like with my business. These guys working on vehicles and stuff, if you don't have the training, you can't do it. You've got to keep up on it, and it's hard. Granted, because if you've got a business or you're working all the time, you're going to have to, like Laura said, read on it and grab for it. The only problem is you need help. That's where some of the people on this city council have good ideas, and why not let them help? Instead of being individualized, why not have a group effort? I mean, we don't know. There's more. Nobody wants to listen to the other one talk. All they want is what they think it should be, and that shouldn't be. We should be able to agree to talk to each and every council person, get the training, get more back into the city, because we do not know more than what we think we do. That's why they have lawyers and everything else. You've got to ask questions. And if the questions aren't asked, you don't know. And I'm not afraid to ask a question, because if I don't know it, I'll find somebody that does. It's like everything else in the city council. Nobody's gonna know it, not all of it. And if that group can find, if they don't know, a group can find together what you can put together. And then maybe we can get something accomplished, instead of sitting with an argument about one thing or another.
Thank you. Mr. Gott, the last question will be for you to answer first, and it is this. What is the single biggest reason you decided to run for this position? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Single business, that's pretty easy. Bring back people into town. Competition is good for town. Competition with businesses means you have revenue. You have people back in town that's going to buy houses, they're going to pay taxes, they're going to pay water bills, they're going to pay everything. Just like anything else, we have to get people back in here. That's one of the reasons I did this. I've helped every business that I know of that's come to me and helped. All the other businesses that were in the same business, I'll help them. I have no problem with that. There's enough business in here to do that, but it's slowly going away. If we don't have businesses back in town, we have no revenue. The revenue is what brings this town back. When you have people, that means functions. We have no functions of any kind. Once the street's 7 o'clock, it's dead in this town. Nobody, everybody leaves town and goes somewhere else. What about starting something? As a group, we could do something for it. It may take a while, but you've got to start something, because we're losing it, and the kids, we're not here for ourselves. We're here for the next generation. That's why I stepped up, because I'm looking down the road. We may not see it, but later on, maybe if we get some younger people in saying maybe they'll come in and join in instead of what we have here. Maybe this whole place would be full. Just getting people back together. You got to get a group back together where they agree. You don't want a group over here and a group over here. Even if the groups are like that, if you can bring them in and talk and agree, that's a plus.
Thank you, Ms. Helke. You have 2 minutes to respond.
Okay. Well, essentially, when I began thinking about running for the office, I had my ear kind of to the ground to kind of hear who might be running, and got into the filing season, and it didn't have anybody that thought about running. Well, so I started thinking about it. I didn't make an overnight decision. Really thought about it and talked to several people about it. Just turned 40. And as most people probably know, thanks to my husband, but along with that, my younger 2 children graduate from high school in May. So in the fall of this year, I'm going to be an empty nester. And one of the things that has really been on my mind and on my heart to do is to be of service to my community. I have the time. I'm going to have, even more time when the kids are gone to college. I have a lot to give. I worked for corrections for nearly 16 years. I was a parole officer for almost 8 years, so have some background in law enforcement, so I could be of some benefit to a police committee, possibly. Been doing a lot of studying and reading about economic development. I feel like I could be an asset on the economic development committee. As well, I worked in the grievance office within the correctional system for several years, which really tuned up my writing skills, my investigative skills, my attention to detail. And so I would even be an asset on the ordinance committee. So I really tried to look at, okay, what is the job of a city council person? What could I do? And do I have something to give? Do I have the time? Do I have something to give? Can I be of service? And all of the answers to those questions were yes.
We will now conclude this segment with your 2 minutes each to discuss your campaigns. Ms. Helke, you will go first. You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. So, in case you don't know, and I'm sure that a lot of you don't know, I have kind of based my campaign around our bicentennial. In 4 years, we are going to celebrate our 200th birthday. Louisiana is going to celebrate her 200th birthday. And I kind of feel like the question is, what do we want Louisiana to look like in 2018? Do we want to see what we see today? Of course we don't. We want to revitalize. We want Louisiana to be a bustling city again. When I talk to people who lived here all their lives, much longer than my 20 years here, I feel like bustling is the word. Bustling is really the word that you could use to describe Louisiana. And I don't think bustling is a word that we can use today. And I want to see that again. Is that going to look like it did then? Of course not. But we can move forward. We have assets that other small communities don't have. We have the river, we have rail, we have the highway. We have a lot of things that other small communities are not going to have to be able to compete for business, industry. We have a wonderful community downtown. We have a historic streetscape downtown. And some people kind of discount that. I'm a person who says we have to value our history. We must value our history, and it's one of the things that can save us. And so we have to work to save it. And so the bicentennial, 4 years, I want to see a lot of action, and I feel like if we can bring everybody to the table, and I mean everybody, we can make it happen.
Thank you, Mr. Gott. You have 2 minutes to discuss your candidacy.
Basically what I'm looking for, and I hate to say it, I'm looking for, it's the whole town's looking for, improvement. We need improvement in this town. I've been around long enough that I can see that our improvement is gone. We don't have nobody or anybody that wants to work together. We need to bring the town back. I mean, anything that what we used to have can still be there, but we have to work at it to bring it back. The thing is, even if we don't work at it, it's going to die. So, I mean, I hope that the group that gets elected, whether it's myself or Laura, tries to work together. We're here to just try to improve, try to bring business back, try to stop all the negative. Everything you hear about the town in the paper, everything's negative. Let's start saying, hey, good job for this person or that person. Give the attaboy or the attagirl gives more than sometimes just a paycheck. That paycheck may be good, but here, where do you go? You got to go out of town to spend it. We keep saying buy local, but it's getting hard to buy local. It's getting to that point we just don't have anything here. We've got to go out of town. And if we can't get anything in, let's give them any kind of thing, a tax break, anything to do to bring in business. But I don't see it. I mean, that's where I'm at. Because, like I said, it could be very good possibility that we could get other businesses, as Laura said, the railway, the bridge, everything's here, but we've not utilized it. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidates, please shake hands. We appreciate your input. Let's give them a hand.